the world. Thank you so much for joining me. Very excited to be here. All right, mindset training. Make sure you put your questions and we're at Clubhouse, Instagram here. Just put your questions in the Q&A section. We will get to them after the training session. Having the right mindset is critical for everyone because we give meaning to everything we see, and the perception that you have is critical to how much money you make, how many people you can help, and how happy you want to be. The key to mindset is to know how it's interrelated to one, the way you feel, your heart set, but also the conscious continuum, right? Our mindset controls our conscious mindset, our subconscious repository mindset, and our quantum mindset, the personality traits, characteristics, obsessions, addictions, our frequency, our own attraction, our energy. All of those things work within the same conscious, the same continuum of consciousness. And that's how important mindset is, the relativity to the heart set and the conscious continuum. So I want to go through just a bunch of different tips on how do I give meaning to everything, how best to give meaning to everything I see, and how it applies to the mindset, the heart set, and the conscious continuum. One of the things relative to mindset is time. And what we want to make sure is that we have a mindset. There are no overnight successes or uh, instant success. Everyone starts at the beginning. We all start at nothingness, and then we imagine through our mindset what we want, and it becomes a possibility. Yes, right? A mathematical advantage over nothingness is to think about it. Ideation, imagination puts us into the realm of mindset, a heart set, and continuum of possibility. And we all have to, once we have that possibility, realize that we're all working in different worlds. And we want to make sure that we understand that we live in our own world, and our connectivity is to appreciate how we are connected to everybody else's world that then creates one world. And that only exists through understanding each of us have quantum abilities, potentials. Everyone has different potentials. Everyone has potentials. Everyone is perfect in their own right. And yet, our mindset does not want to separate ourselves or from others or from the oneness of that whole collective consciousness. So, the first lesson of mindset is there are no overnight successes, that everyone starts at the beginning, that everyone starts at nothingness, and we ideate or imagine what we want, and everyone starts at the beginning. So there is no other way to start than at the beginning. Second one, it's harder to be disciplined than it is to stay motivated, but do both the best you can. To understand motivation itself is the ability to get up, get back up, get started, get back started. But remember in your mindset that it's much harder to stay disciplined than it is to get motivated. In other words, motivation will get you up, but inspiration and discipline will get you there. Inspiration and discipline are closely connected because as we take that ideation of a possibility, become inspired to make it a probability, it's strategy, discipline, and awareness that gets us there to our perspective, our reality. So remind yourself in your mindset that it's important that we get motivated, but it's much more difficult to stay disciplined. It's counterintuitive. One, two, the ego has fear when we try to do something that is harder, which is to stay disciplined, that we actually, it's holding on to no change. And we want to create and allow ourselves to hold on to change, because without change, you have no growth, acceleration, no expansion, no learning. But the ego likes to hold on to the no change respect. When people quit, it's usually because they look to how far they have to go instead of how far they've already come and what they've learned. So keep looking forward. Don't stumble on the road blocks behind you, but learn the lessons and remember the lessons and apply the lessons. And that philosophy is called segmentation. It works in the behavior of negative attitude, but it can be the most valuable of all positive behaviors segmentation, meaning that if we look in front of us with the lessons that we've learned, equipped to utilize those lessons in order to effectuate efficiency, effectiveness, and statistical success, we will have less roadblocks in front of us by utilizing the lessons instead of focusing in on the speed bumps behind us. And so we must remember that when people quit, it's because they're utilizing negative behavior and it takes so long to see results. So if you're doing something negative, it's too late when you get the result. And if you're doing something positive, it's usually too far away to see the results. So most people quit. Remember, 99% of all people quit before they're 25% of the way there, before they can actually see any result. Of the 1% that continue on, 99% quit before they're 95% of the way there. And of the 1% of the 1%, they get to 100% of the way there. And those people that continue to be consistent and persistent will get to 200, 400, and 800% of the way there. One of the other things that occur in the mindset is worry. Remember, as my friend Sharon Lecter has always taught me, worry is praying for what you don't want. And so many people use these triggers, especially worrying, to create resistance, voids, and shortages. You cannot worry about where you're going. See, faith itself is a GPS, it's a mindset GPS. If you have faith, you put in where you want to be, right? Our destination. And then when we get off track by making mistakes, failures, learning lessons, pain, whatever it may be, the faith is what recalculates the route to put us in a better place, a better situation. Now, the more detailed we are about the destination, shortest routes, no tolls, etc., then we are able to utilize faith again to recalculate according to not only where we're going, but the fastest, shortest, toll roads, no toll roads, etc., of how we want to get there. And that's where knowing your what, your who, your how, and your now work, that faith is your GPS, allowing you to alter and recalculate at all times. In other words, learn from the lessons that presented themselves and have faith that you're going to end up somewhere better, just as if you had a GPS of your mindset. Remember that if you have failures, setbacks, mistakes, pain, that's an indication that you're going to have less regrets. And regrets are interferences, voids, and shortages and obstacles to what we want. There's nothing that we can do to alleviate a regret other than take action and figure out whether or not we can achieve it, or what we can achieve by pursuing whatever objective it is. Another mindset: don't focus on staying busy. I hate the word busy. Busy means unavailable. I believe in active. So I'm a very active person, but focus on productivity, accessibility, and gratitude instead of busy. So many people are so busy working, which I don't believe in work either. Work is defined for me as activity I get paid for. So I have activity I get paid for, activity I don't get paid for, productive, accessible, and gracious with it. But most people get so busy working, they forget to make money, or they forget to achieve their objective. It feels good because action is the only way we alleviate a negative feeling, right? You can't use logic to get rid of some of the triggers like worry, resentful, anger, anxiety, guilt, any of these different feelings we have. People try to out logic not only their emotions and the way they feel, but other people's, and it's just a waste of time. Utilizing the focus on productivity, accessibility, and gratitude, utilizing activity you get paid for, activity you don't get paid for. Nothing happens until it moves when it comes to feelings. You cannot use logic to change the way you feel. You can worry about something and sit there all day long and tell yourself, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. It'll never go away. You'll keep on worrying. In fact, what you resist persists. You'll be worrying even more and more and more. Whereas if you take action, utilizing a lens of productivity, where you're providing value or service of what you do according to your continuum, accessibility, where you're accessible to others to be of service and of value, and accessing what you want, learning to receive, learning you're worthy of receiving, and of course, gratitude to build that muscle, to find the light, the love, and the lessons in everything you do, to learn to love everything you do. I don't do anything unless I can learn to love it. If I can't learn to love it, I delegate it, or I just don't do it. but I take the perspective that I can learn to love anything by finding the light, the love, and the lessons in it. Uh, One of the other things is people don't, in a mindset, they don't mind hard, but they hate long. So don't think of life as a marathon. Think of it as a series of sprints, a series of painful sprints, hard sprints, fast sprints, and you will get so much farther. I always say you can get from San Diego to Maine at night just sprinting 3 feet in front of you each way. You don't have to know the entire place. So people remember they like and don't mind hard, but they hate long. So don't think of life as a marathon. Don't have a marathon mindset. Think of it as a series of sprints that aggregate together, accelerate, grow, exponentially compound upon themselves. When it comes to how your life turns out, there is nothing more important in outcome than mindset. Nothing's more important in outcome than mindset, because a mindset will take out the emotion attached to an outcome and allow you to attach that motion to enjoying, learning to love, enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of your own potential, understanding the conscious continuum, the quantum nature of who you are and what potentials you have and what potentials you want to pursue. Um, we have to remember, in the context of mindset, that we have to have an ideation mindset to take nothingness into a possibility. We have to have an inspired mindset to take us from possibility to probability. And then we have to have a pragmatic mindset to take us from probability to perspective, utilizing discipline, strategy, and awareness in order to effectuate the most efficient, effective, and statistically successful way to materialize the ideation and inspiration that allows us the opportunity to manifest. In other words, you got to utilize the law of gravity to be grounded. When you utilize the law of gravity, it allows us to ideate, it allows us to imagine. It's that we are in the right place at the perfect time. And then when we utilize inspiration, it allows us to enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit without motivation, just being connected and understanding that we are just getting rid of any interference between that and the most powerful source of energy that exists. And then we need to materialize that through the law, and that's the law of Goya. Then we materialize that, get off your ass. Then we materialize that with the law of attraction, and using awareness and discipline and strategy in order to effectuate getting rid of all the interference of what you already have, because you are health, wealth, and happiness. We just have to figure out what you're doing to interfere with it. Your best is what we want. So what are the three things that we want to focus in on in any activity that we have? Number one, are you doing your best? These are three questions of mindset that I always utilize for myself when I'm mentoring, coaching, or teaching. Number one question, if I'm evaluating the lessons that I've learned and how I can expand, grow, and accelerate it the most efficient way, is to ask myself, did I do my best? And if I didn't do my best, how can I do better next time? Boom, there's a lesson, there's a light, and there's some love for you as well. When we can create those deltas every time and improve and scale what we're doing by asking ourselves in complete illumination and honesty, am I doing my best? What could I have done better? Two, what did I learn? What did I learn? Reviewing what we learn is so essential, because life's about lessons, and the lessons will keep on coming until we learn them. And if we don't learn them, there'll be pain, and pain will indicate that we have that lesson. And utilizing faith as our GPS will reroute us into a better place, a better position, or a better situation. So always ask yourself, not only did I do my best, but how can I do my best? But two, what did I learn? And then try to reposit those or create stories around those so that we have the greatest chance of accessing it in the future. In other words, when we access the lessons that we've learned, we're reminding, we're remembering, we're recollecting all of the great knowledge and experience, the dummy tax that we paid in order to effectuate greater success, purpose, passion, and profitability into our lives. And then the third thing that we want to ask is, did we have fun? Are we happy? If you take any circumstance, any activity, paid or unpaid, planned or unplanned, even our sleep, and you utilize the three questions of mindset, those three questions of mindset are very simply: one, did you do your best? Two, what did you learn? And three, did you have fun? And you can utilize for yourself and for others this methodology in order to expand and grow and accelerate the best. If you want exercise on this mindset and understanding it, just email me. I will send it to you for free. It will go through exercises and a guide on how to carry the right mindset and notifying and asking the right questions and focusing attention and intention on the right mindset for your heart set and conscious continuum. David at dmeltzer.com. We'll put it in the chat too. Please reach out if you want my exercises or books on the mindset. I'm happy to send them. I'll pay for shipping. I'll pay for everything. It's free. Don't worry. Next, you don't have to think of someone else's path as wrong just to be successful in traveling your own race, your own path. Comparison is the thief of joy, especially when it's in the journey aspect. You need to run your own race. So many people don't take into account their own journey, their own values, their own quantum being. They don't take into account their lessons, their stature, where they're at, what they're doing, and they compete against nothingness. When I say they compete against nothingness, they're in the comparison race with an illusion. And this is the problem with social media is they're so easy to create an image or an illusion to compete against, to strive towards that just isn't real. And so the only real competition that should take place is to look within and to clear away the interference between you and your potential or your truth. Comparison is the thief of joy. And if you don't work in the context of your own quantum being and how you fit perfectly into the puzzle of the whole, of the oneness, of the unified nature of the collective consciousness, you are creating interference. You are creating void, shortages, and obstacles for yourself by putting your attention in the wrong place, by creating these shortages, by creating separation, by competing against an illusion instead of looking within, where you can instead improve upon what you're doing in the consistent, persistent manner. Change. How do we deal with change is such an important mindset. Change is so important. I always say that only one person likes change that I know, and that's a wet baby. Everyone else has a trigger to change. They're afraid they're a hypocrite. They're afraid it'll hurt. They're afraid it'll make a mistake. We're afraid of so many things when it comes to change. But I have a 3-step process for change. One, I believe the only certainty is change. So, one, expect it. Expect it. How do we expect it? Utilize the AAA strategy. AAA strategy is one, if you get alignment, if you're more interested than interesting, and you spend 80% of your time getting alignment with a person, place, or thing, or situation, job, industry, career, whatever it is, 80% of our time with alignment, number one, then take action according to the alignment that you achieve, taking inventory of your what, your who, your how, your now, and your why, taking inventory of your own values. You then can expect change, which means you better prepare for adjustment. Prepare for adjustment, expect change to maximize the opportunity that exists in the delta that's created by change. Expect change, prepare for it by getting that alignment, right? Prepare for adjustment. And most importantly, use the lens of productivity, accessibility, and most importantly, gratitude. Use the superpower of finding the light, the love, and the lessons in the change. Instead of finding the void, shortages, and obstacles in the delta, find the light, the love, and the lessons in the delta, in the change, where the margins of millionaires are made, or is it the margins of bankruptcy are made by great change? I believe it's the margins of millionaires. I believe that if we can expect change, prepare for change, and most importantly, enjoy the change, that you will see exponential growth, acceleration in your own life. Judgment in conditions, not only receiving but giving judgment in conditions, create so much of our mindset. Right, we want to vote for what we want, but there's so much judgment, so many conditions that we place upon others and they place upon us. And so, what we want to do is make sure that when you judge a person, it says more about you than it does that person, especially if I need to be offended is one of the triggers into the primal fears that you have. right? If you call someone stupid, all it does is define you as someone who would call someone stupid, someone who wants to be separate, inferior, superior, someone who probably thinks that they're themselves stupid, projecting their insecurity onto others. When someone else is judging you, that just makes them somebody that judges. And we have to take ourselves out of some sort of insecurity that we are what other people define us as. It's not true. In fact, people will laugh at you, scoff at you, make fun of you, and then they'll applaud you, and they'll go even further than applaud you. They'll tell you that they knew you could do it. It happens to me all the time. So watch the judgments, watch the conditions, both that you give and you receive. It says nothing about other than the person that's projecting those judgments and conditions onto everybody else. When you see, in counterintuitive fashion, though, when you see or seek good in others, you will allow yourself to see it in you. We see and seek what we look for, whether it be in others. Others are a mirror of ourselves. So when we're seeking the superpowers in others, we will allow ourselves to find the superpowers of ourselves. When we're looking for what we don't want, we're going to get what we don't want. When we're looking for what we do want, we're going to find what we do want. This is the power of the mindset. You give meaning to everything, not only you see, but you seek. I'm going to repeat that. You give meaning to everything you see as well as seek. Everyone is unique, so stop wishing that you were something you're not. Oh my gosh, talk about comparison is the thief of joy. When we are trying to be something that someone else is, that takes away our fingerprint, right? Everybody has their own fingerprint on this world. Everybody has a distinctive fingerprint. And within the context of that fingerprint is your quantum nature, your quantum being, your situational knowledge, your genetics, your life passing being that exists. So don't try to be the best of everyone. Try to be the best you. My littlest brother, he's an extraordinary human being. He went to Wharton. He has an MBA from the University School of Economics, an MBA from Columbia. He is an exceptional athlete, intellect, academic, philanthropist, humanitarian. He is unbelievable in so many different things. But he had 5 older siblings that he would compete against, and it was frustrating for him because he wanted to be the best at whatever we were the best at. And he took the individual talents of the best student of the 5 of us, the best athlete of the 5 of us, the best business person of the 5 of us, and he was trying to be the best of others instead of the best of himself. And looking within as he matured and understood that he was phenomenal, and when he started focusing in on who he was, that's when he got the exponential growth and acceleration that he was looking for. uh, Friends, other people. A best friend brings the best out in you. There is a litmus test called feelings, and you want to use the great chain of feeding to determine who you want to be around. Has anybody ever had a friend out there that doesn't make you feel good, but yet you consistently torture yourself by hanging out with them and expecting a different result and feeling better when they just don't make you feel good? If somebody bleeds you, at the very least, let them fall away, let alone fire them from your life. There's a great chain of feeding. If somebody makes you feel good, feed them, hang out with them more, learn from them more. We make so many mistakes by torturing ourselves, by putting ourselves in a position with people expecting a different result. If somebody does not make you feel good, then don't be around them. Understand them and pay for the happiness, but best friends bring the best out of you. And we've talked about the difference, for example, of a mentor and a coach, that a good coach, as well as a best friend, they bring the best out of you. A mentor, they give the best of themselves to you. One of the other mindsets that's so important is to be present. And the way that we're present, or the way that we stay present, is to take action. And to take action and do it now is essential to a mindset of getting things done, or being productive, accessible, and gracious with our time. To be efficient, effective, and statistically successful, we have to do things now. Now, I utilize, as everyone knows, Einstein's matrix of urgency and importance, meaning I do what's important first based on an inventory of values that I take: personal, experiential, giving, and receiving values. And then I effectuate getting things done by asking myself, can I do it now? According to those values, according to the activities I have planned, according to the activities I don't have planned. Can I prioritize it by importance now and get it done? Because 100% of the things you do now get done. If I can't do it, then I go ahead and reposit it somewhere and prioritize it at a later time or even a later date. But it gives me statistical success and efficiency. And most importantly, it allows me to get things done. The difference between a strong mindset and someone that doesn't is people who have a strong mindset are capable of getting things done. So do it now, stay present, get things done. If you want to see change, don't wait for someone else to do it. If you want to see change, don't wait for someone else to do it. So if you want something that's important to you, you need to do it yourself. And if it's not important to you, you can delegate it, not a problem. You can push it back. But if it's important according to your values, your what, your who, your how, your now, and your why, you got to allow and do it yourself. As it goes down into that chain of variance, you can go ahead and delegate it, ask for help, but you got to get it done if you need it done now. So many of us have a jealous mindset, and that jealous mindset focuses on what's missing. We need to all, so many of us want to be celebrities. And I was saying the other day, my mom gave me a great compliment. I did a celebration for Unstoppable Foundation, and my mom was on there, and somebody said, that, oh my gosh, Dave Meltzer is becoming a celebrity. And somebody else said, no, Dave Meltzer is a celebrity, a celebrant. And I think that's an important mindset to have. My mission in life is to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. My mission in life is to empower others to be happy. My mission in life is to find 1,000 of you by doing these trainings for the last 20 years or more now to help elevate others to elevate others. My mission in life is to give you my book for free to help you empower others to empower others, to give you exercises on mindset. David at dmeltzer.com. Email me, book, exercise, David at dmeltzer.com. My mission in life is to be a celebrant, not a celebrity. And I want you to have the mindset of elevating others, of empowering others. If I can find 1,000 of you celebrants to celebrate other people, another 1,000 to be celebrants, to celebrate another 1,000, 1,000 times a thousand's a million times a thousand's a billion, you will have the mindset of abundance. There's 3 worlds that I want you to leave before we get into Q&A. Do you want a mindset of scarcity, of being a victim, of living in a world of not enough of everything, of everyone? Or do you want to live in a world for yourself, alone? Please, do you want to live in a world for yourself, a world of just enough for you, where you're buying things you don't need to impress people you don't even like? Or do you want to live in a world of abundance, a world of more than enough of everything for everyone? I'm here to tell you to celebrate yourself, celebrate others, forget pursuing celebrity, and let's all be celebrants and help each other empower others to be happy. Thank you so much. We're going to take Q&A now. Remember, next week's trainings, BYOQ, bring your own questions. I'll bring the answers. It's a Ask Me Anything Friday. We have Ask Me Anything Mondays. Go ahead. If you want my exercise in my book, my mindset exercise, or my book, I'll sign it, send it to you, pay for shipping. David at dmeltzer.com. All you got to do is ask for help. Have some radical humility, illuminate what you need, reach out to me, David at dmeltzer.com. Put your questions in the Q&A session. We have the Clubhouse side of it. I'm going to take a quick question online, and then Christina Madrigal, you'll be up live next, and we'll get right to it. Here we go. What's the biggest mistake you've made recently, and what'd you learn from it? Well, the biggest mistake I've made recently, um, I booked, I tried to save money and booked a lesser airline, which I will name anonymous, but I tried to save money and it ended up costing me an entire day of celebrating and experiencing the Bahamas with my wife and friends. And I wasn't more interested than interesting. I did not plan correctly. I wasn't diligent in the student the calendar, not only with the flight, but with other interviews. And I ended up missing an interview with Les Brown, who's one of my mentors, heroes, friends. And what I learned from it is that you are a hypocrite, Dave Meltzer. You need to do what you preach and teach, and you need to, one, be more interested than interesting, and two, be a student of your calendar. I keep learning probably the most valuable capability that I teach people is to be a student of their calendar, to pay attention and give intention to the things that I plan, don't have planned, to really look into details and study what I'm doing, not just look at it and make assumptions. The more we delve into our time and the use of our time with productivity, accessibility, and gratitude, the greater the effect and the more subtleties of success that occur in our lives. In other words, attention plus intention equal the coincidences or luck that we want instead of the unluckiness that may appear because we're focusing on the wrong things. All right, bring up Christina Madrigal. Here we go.
Hello. Thank you for calling on me. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Hi. This is amazing. Thank you so much. I'm learning so much. So my question today is, how do you know when to course correct versus stay with something that I'm in a place of learning all of the things like all at once. And so I don't really know what I'm learning and need to continue on, and it might be difficult, or in your learning pains versus this isn't actually what I need to do, so I need to course correct. Does that make sense on how to
Sure.
find the difference? Thank
Yeah,
you.
so you're welcome, and thank you very much for always being here. Just a great addition to help everyone with illumination. So, coursing, correcting, pivoting, changing our mind, there is nothing except for it. Rerouting is exactly what we do. So, what we really want to focus in on is taking inventory of our values every day and not being afraid to reroute and pivot. And that although we may have a certain objective for today, if what we learn from the day changes our objective, that's okay. And so there is no set black or white rule that, okay, this isn't good to do, this is good to do. What I like to do is segment it by the man made construct of time, the man made construct of each day, that each day is like a bank card, and I'm given a full bank card, and I'm trying to spend everything on the bank card because I'm not guaranteed that bank card is not going to be full tomorrow. But the way we fill up the card for tomorrow is through the lessons, adjustments, and rerouting that we made, and not attaching ourselves to an outcome, but attaching ourselves to enjoying the journey, enjoying the consistent every day, consistent, persistent, without quit pursuit of whatever potential it is we decide for that one day. Each day, just like these short little sprints, is segmented by the lessons that we've learned and the values that have been gained from those lessons. And we cannot live in fear of change. We cannot live in fear to tell people I didn't know what I didn't know. So, although some people see it as a start and stop, a black and white, I don't. I see it as every day I am happy where I'm at. I'm at the right place at the perfect time. I determine that by taking inventory of my values, and then I'm angling, utilizing pain, mistakes, failures to reroute myself by angling with everything I have, utilizing that law of Goya, getting off my ass, doing what it takes without quit, and then using faith as my GPS, that no matter what's occurring, the pain, the mistakes, the failures, the setbacks, that those are rerouting me to a better place, a better position. The bigger the pain, the bigger the door, the bigger the place I'm going to be. The bigger the mistake, the bigger the lesson, the bigger the place I'm going to be. So many people cannot use faith as their GPS. They only work within the pragmatic black to white, A to B, start to finish, instead of thinking things in the context of making sure, one, they're grounded with the law of gravity, having complete awareness they're exactly where they're supposed to be, and being happy exactly where they're supposed to be at the right way at the perfect time, creating that AAA strategy to angle to what they want using the law of Goya by rerouting through pain, mistakes, failures, and setbacks to have faith as your GPS. They're going to end up somewhere even better. And when you put that mindset into place along with your heart set so you don't quit, and utilize the conscious continuum, conscious, subconscious, and unconscious behaviors and beliefs, you will actually get to where you want to be, or even better, faster than you even anticipated. Does that sound fair?
Always sounds amazingly fair, and you just repetition, and God bless you. Thank
Thank
you so much.
Thank you, Christina. All right. Thank you, Gus. We always get big leadoff hitters. That's awesome. Next up, I'm going to take another question online, but Leslie, Ashley, you'll be coming up next. I'll take this question here. How can we use our purpose in order to push past obstacles and difficulties? Well, first of all, determining our purpose is based upon your values, and the purpose in all pushes uh, is that your purpose has to be greater than the pain. And so you have to determine where the light, the love, and the lesson is in order to determine the purpose and passion that you have in order to effectuate a greater energy than that difficulty or obstacle or pain or setback or mistake. If you can always make sure that you're learning to love what you do, that you're seeking in the light, the love, and the lessons, then your purpose will be greater than your pain. You will never feel as if there's shortages, voids, and obstacles. You will not feel as if you need to quit. When you're feeling that way, you're not even 40% of the way there. So you have plenty of energy left to take a moment, stop, drop, and roll. Know what those triggers are that are creating obstacles and difficulties, interfering with what you want, what you already have. And when you can do that, you will always have a purpose that's greater than your pain. You'll always be able to push past far beyond any obstacles, void, shortages, or difficulties. All right, Leslie, you're up.
Oh, thank you so much. I have a quick question. First, as you talk about inspiration and motivation, I do want to say that thanks for being the great coach that you are. The amount of change in my life has been immeasurable, and for that I'm grateful. Also, Christina, I want to say thank you to you for your courage and everything that you've been doing on Instagram for this month, and it's very inspiring. And my question is, well, going through your database of all things Dave Meltzer, which is a great resource, by the way, I heard a podcast from Mark Frohnmeyer talking about disruption theory, and it was very intriguing, but when I tried to find more information, it was very overwhelming. So I was wondering if you had any book or resource that you could recommend that I could learn more about that. And this is Leslie, and I'm done.
Yeah, nope. I do. One would be Dr. Wayne Dyer. And so utilizing and understanding, clearing what you already connected to. I think Sadhguru as well in a yogi's guide will talk about that disruption. I think Marshall Thurber is another author, social deviance, perturbation. So if you look up Thurber, Wayne Dyer, and of course Sadhguru, I think you'll get three different approaches to disruption and to social deviance or type of perturbation that has occurred from you and what you're connected through. And of course, Connected to Goodness also deals with being connected and clearing that connection. So I'll be happy to send you that if anyone wants it. Just david@dmeltzer.com. I'll sign it, send it to you, ship it. Thank you so much. Those are three great authors to use. Does that sound fair?
Yes, that sounds great. And I'll reread Connected to Goodness this weekend.
Thank you. Let me know what you think. Awesome. Next up is Adam Chioka. I got the pronunciation there. Adam, you're up next. Let me take a quick question online. How do you get out of a space of anger, both in the heat of anger and to reconfigure to make moments of anger less? Well, that's my entire strategy of anger or any triggers that I have. So the first thing is to understand what triggers us to get into fear. Primal fear is when the blood leaves our brain so that we can fight, flee, feed, or the other F word that Gary Vee uses all the time that means procreate. And if you realize, one, that I need to, in order to spend minutes or moments in anger, or whatever other fear trigger there is, I need to be able to identify it. So the first step actually is to create an unwinding routine the night before. Start your tomorrow today by unwinding so that you put your body, mind, and soul in a position that when you wake up, that you can meditate or find a baseline of your higher self to plateau and grow. But once you get a baseline of your higher self, of your neutrality, of your center, of your higher being, then you can use that to determine what is triggering me to get off of that center, to get out of neutral, to get into a place of interference, of disruption, avoid shortages and obstacles. What is it that triggers? So for me, I have a long litany, as everybody's heard me rambling off, right? The need to be angry, need to be resentful, offended, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, guilty. All of these things put me off of center. And the minute I trigger those things, the blood leaves my brain and it goes into my body. And now, usually, when I'm angry or resentful or offended or separate or inferior or guilty, I'm now trying to take and make decisions without any blood in my brain, which in its own definition has to be insane. And so the first thing that you need to do so you can spend only minutes and moments in anger, or minutes and moments in guilt, or minutes and moments in worry, or minutes and moments in offense is to simply stop and put the blood back into your brain. So breathe. Remind yourself with your higher level of thinking where your higher baseline is, where that center is, where neutral. Remind yourself, I call it dropping down to center. And then you can make the decision without anger. You're clearing the interference back to the potential, the truth, the love, the light, and the lessons that you've learned in the past. That anger gets you nowhere except for accelerating you in the wrong direction, creating more void, shortages, and obstacles. So when you learn your triggers and you understand where the blood is glowing and flowing, and you can put it back into the place that's necessary and to utilize your higher level of thinking, to be at peace, at center, to have happiness, to help other people and have fun in your life, to make more money as well. All you need to do is to create a process of discipline of knowing where your baseline is, identifying when you're off the baseline and why and what's triggering it. And then, as you know, when you are in that ego based consciousness, your mind, body, and soul are on fire. So stop, drop, and roll when you're on fire. All right. My friend Adam Chioka, come on up. What question you got for me?
Hey, David. Thanks so much. How you doing?
Awesome. Thanks for joining me.
Yes, great. First of all, I thought, well, I got to give a shout out to friends on the stage, Leslie, Christina, Shosh. Good to see you all. Thank you. So, yes, David, first of all, I thought, see, when you do your Monday morning Facebook coaching, I'm usually at work working, so it's like I can't always get there. And I thought, I just don't want David to know that I'm like, I'm not intentionally missing those meetings. I'm like, I just can't make it.
No problem. And that's why we have replays. And, obviously we appreciate you being part of our private coaching group. You're a great asset. So thank you.
Yes, thanks. And so for mindset and my thinking, I feel I'm so inspired and excited every day. And I heard you cite Wayne Dyer earlier. Yes, of course, I credit him with saving my life. Anyway, so I will share that I'm continually surprised at how the ego comes back. It's like, you can't like slaughter it. You can't just kill it. It's funny how it can creep back in, especially if you've got any sort of like interracial thing or some sort of conversations with people that it somehow either connects to your children or your family or your reputation or your job. And I just think it's interesting how ego does creep back in. I have to identify it and then, just realize, okay, that's the ego. I don't need to get worked up. I don't need to get upset. Do you want to comment on the ego?
Yeah, I would love to. And thank you for the great comments and gratitude and being a celebrant of so many other people as well. But remember, The ego is necessary. It's like your heartbeat. It protects us, right? It tells us when we have to protect our embodiment by feeding it, fighting, fleeing, or that other F word to make sure that we continue the human race. Uh, so it's more about the triggers. It's more about what's triggering that. Is it something real, something that we can utilize in our favor, in our benefit? Because fear, for example, can motivate us. And if we can utilize it to motivate us, mean get up, get back up, get started, get back started, that's terrific. If we have control to put ourselves back into center or neutral, to become in spirit or inspired, to maximize the efficiency, effectiveness, and statistical success. You cannot get an egoectomy, you cannot get even an ego transplant, but you need your heart and you need your ego. What we want to do is identify the triggers that are not real, the illusionary triggers that cause us to act without blood in our brain when we need blood in our brain. We need to act at our higher self, our higher frequency, our higher vibration, our higher self, closer to the truth and our potential. And so, what we want to do instead of creating interference with the ego is just utilize the ego with its best purpose, its intention, and then figure out these triggers so we can spend minutes and moments outside of our best self by creating, a clearer connection to that which inspires us. Does that sound fair, Adam?
I love it. Really good points. That's right. It is necessary, and it's it's here to stay. So we got to make the best of it. Before I let you go, David, I might as well just introduce you to a friend on stage, Selena. I was on her podcast a few weeks ago, and she's been a nice big supporter of my mission and my book. So that's Selena Thomas. David, thank you.
Thank you, Selena Thomas. And I am open to have you on as well for a question. Josh Shetty, friend of the FAMs, you're up next. Let me take another question online. Um, how do you work to control the inputs of each day? So the inputs are the data that we receive, and it's about 10,000 new thoughts that we have, 10,000 new things, data inputs that we get each day. And we want to make sure that from that input, our sensory cortex and our memory, our cellular memory from our senses, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and touch, that we're taking in the most positive inputs, our most positive data to place in our intermediate memory, our subconscious, where 40,000 of these thoughts, same thoughts every day, that can be replaced only by accessing them more and more and more to replace the ones that are laying fallow or aren't being accessed or activated. And so I use the methodology of cancel, clear, connect. It's another exercise. It's in my book. I'm happy to send it to you, david@dmeltzer.com. I'll keep repeating it. But if you can cancel the negative input, and if it reoccurs, know that it's in our subconscious. And so then we can go ahead and clear it through meditation or being at center or sleep. Uh, and then shift our energy by connecting and reminding ourselves what we're connected to and through. The effort of cancel, clear, connect will help to build a conscious continuum that is directed towards a trajectory of what you want instead of one which creates interferences, creates static, creates void, shortages, and obstacles. Most people get in their own way, which means they're taking inputs and creating habits and disciplines of negativity and then activating that negativity not only within the context of their own being, their own quantum nature, but activating in the universe itself as a frequency or a beacon, calling out for what they don't want or for what other people want for them or what's missing in their life instead of looking through, taking inventory of their values of what they want and voting for what they want in their lives and attracting that more rapidly and accurately. So it's so important to control the imports each day by canceling, clearing, and connecting. Email me for that exercise. It'll change your life. It's also in my book, Cancel, Clear, Connect. You can Google it, search Dave Meltzer, dmeltzer.com, Cancel, Clear, Connect. All the negativity out of your life, attract what you want. It is a positive, abundant world. Live in that world of more than enough. All right, Shosh, you're up.
Hey, David, thanks once again for everything you do. This is certainly always a highlight for the end of the week for me. And I think, yeah, for myself, I feel, you're a great mentor and living example to me of living in gratitude and seeing the beauty in every moment. And I think one of the things I really wanted to drill down on is, something that you talk a lot about is using the lens of gratitude by seeking the love, the light, and lessons in everything. And I think one of the things I want to learn and really practice is, for me, after we always interact, I'm in that state momentarily, and I'm really trying to get to a point where my question is, how do you keep cognizant to be in that state, moment to moment, throughout the day, not only for the day, but as you go, with any sort of reactive situation as well. But and also secondly, if every moment is a lesson for us, do you have a process of keeping a repository of those lessons? Thanks.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. Well, first, I utilize time in order to effectuate my behavior as far as it goes from finding the light, the love, and the lessons, learning to love what I do, utilizing productivity, accessibility, and gratitude to manifest or attract what I want, to heal what is already mine, my health, my wealth, and my happiness by determining what's interfering with it. I use time. So I use in my own mind a marker of how I feel, and I see how long it takes me to get back on track. So, for example, if I was going to train people, the most powerful thing I can, the easiest thing I can, just simply to say thank you before you go to bed and say thank you when you wake up. It takes about zero point 0.1 seconds, completely free, but guaranteed exponentially to change your life. Took me 9 months to figure out how to do that every day, to say thank you before I went to bed and when I woke up. I'm literally sitting on stages telling people quantumly, physically, metaphysically, how gratitude changes your life. But yet, like you said, how do we stay disciplined and do it? So I utilize time and reconcile the time that it takes in order to get back on track. So that if it takes me weeks, days, months, or years, or does it take me minutes and moments to get back on track? I'm not going to stumble on the roadblocks behind me. If I forget to do something, I'm going to try to improve so that I don't forget to do it, or I remember to do it quicker, or identify it and then remember to do it quicker. It's a practice, it's a muscle. The more you practice, the more you utilize a muscle, the better it will be. That's the way our being, our conscious continuum is made up of that repetition of disciplines and habits that are formed not only according to our behavior, but our quantum memory, our being. Some things are easier than others. We love to do some things more than others, but you need to find the light, the love, and the lessons and everything, because there is love, light, and lessons in everything. Things and certain things are just easier to love than other things, but you can learn to love them. Just take less time to do so, and use time as a variable in which to allow yourself to improve on the consistent, persistent pursuit of whatever that may be. Secondly, how do we remember the lessons? Do I have a repository of lessons? I absolutely do. I text people, I email them, anywhere I can reposit it so that at the end of the day, I can put it somewhere. And the way that I try to remember, remind, or recollect all the different lessons that I've learned in a day and then prioritize them is I tie a story to them, because that is how I remember things much easier. So, for example, if I'm going to teach you a question about, or a lesson about being more interested than interesting, I know that's the story about my oldest brother and how he taught me to be more interested than interesting, or being kind to my future self, Lee Steinberg's story. Or could it be just because someone loves you doesn't mean they give you good advice? Going to law school into technology, not being a lawyer story. When I tie that, not only do I remember the lesson better, but I also can teach the lesson better. And my stories always change if I don't write out and memorize the story, which will just be an interference to me remembering the lesson as well as the story. But by just making a note of the story, I can tell the story differently each time, the best of my ability to live to the integrity of the story, or amalgamate it if it is more entertaining one way, or tell different jokes, etc. So I encourage everyone, life is about lessons, but to remember, remind, or recollect the lessons, tie a story, a notation of those stories to those lessons, and you will be a lot better off. But please reposit those lessons, because that's how we grow, learn, and teach and empower others to empower others. All right, Selena Thomas, you're going to be the last question. I'll take a quick one online, and then Selena will finish up with you online here. All right. What criteria do you study to determine whether to eject from a venture that doesn't seem to be viable? I use math, and I use 5 components of the math. is that I always am doing an evaluation of the credibility of the opportunity and its quantitative nature of its viability. I also will value it by my emotional connection. I will make sure that that is still ascertained or maintained in a viable way. Most importantly, the viability of any type of venture that I'm working within, I will continue to determine the quantitative value of the reasons that I'm engaged in the opportunity and variances of how much it feeds me, whether or not it feeds me, or does it bleed me. And I will consistently do the math to quantify the reasons I'm still participating and at what level I'm participating in that venture. The impact is another big one. So there may be some things that have a great bleed to it, but it has such a huge impact that I then can equate quantitatively the bleed of the venture to the impact that it has. And a lot of the charitable or philanthropic things that I do have a great bleed to me, but they have such a huge impact. One of the examples that I can give you, talk about lessons and stories, I gave and did 50 birthday parties in 1 year for charity. It was an incredible bleed on me. It was one of the biggest things I did, but the impact was incredible. 2 community centers, thousands of people's lives changed. It was incredible. And then finally, if my capabilities change, if the venture is too big or too small for me, then that also is a criteria to quantifiably look at whether or not I want to eject myself or disallow it to fall away or feed it more. And so those are the things that I look at: the credibility, the emotional attachment, quantifying reasons, impacts, and capabilities. Feel free, once again, that's all available to you, David at dmeltzer.com. Okay, last one, Selena Thomas, welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I had to take myself off mute. This is my first time in the room. It pinged me that you all were having a conversation, so you are amazing. Thank you for all of the information that you shared. I came in on the part where you were talking about enjoy the journey, and I think so often we're worried about what's happening next month or next year and not focusing and concentrating and being appreciative of where we are at this particular moment. And so I really didn't have a question. They asked me if I wanted to come on stage, but I wanted to tell you how of an amazing time that I've had in this short period of time being in the room, and I've learned a lot. I started out last year saying that I was going to be a life coach and a motivational speaker, and somehow I shifted over to a live podcaster. And so I kind of got discouraged, but when I heard you say that things happen and we get redirected and, not to fight the process. So I'm thankful and I'm grateful to be where I am with this podcast. I enjoy the audience, and I just want to continue to follow you. So I did over on Instagram, and that amazed me that you're live over there and you're over here. I'm like, wow, how is he doing that? But just again, thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And you're a testament to faith being a GPS, rerouting us into a better place, a better position. As we are, everyone finishing up here. We're here every Friday. I've been doing trainings for over 20 years. And now, as my new friend Selena said, I'm on every single platform doing these trainings, and I don't have to buy everybody lunch. So it's even better for me. So thank you, everyone, for all of your time. Remember, next week is BYOQ. You bring the questions, I'll bring the answers. An hour of Q&A. It's Ask Me Anything Friday, next Friday. Join me. Anybody want to watch any of these trainings, they're all available. I have one of the top podcasts in the world called The Playbook, and it's on Spotify, Google, Entrepreneur, every platform. Spotify has its own special playlist of my trainings available for everyone. So if you want to check out any of the entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, entertainers, billionaires, millionaires, and their playbooks of success, a modern day Napoleon Hill podcast, it's all there, over 700 episodes available for all of you. Email me if you want any of the exercises on mindset, on Cancel, Clear, Connect, or just get my book. I'll send it to you. Audiobook, ebook. I'll sign a book, ship it to you, and pay for it. Everybody, most importantly, it's high noon right now here in Pacific time. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. I'll see you next week. Thank you.